Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video for my beginner series and I'm going to do it all on brushes. I find that brushes are one of the most daunting things ever. There is so many different kinds, so many different brands. It's like, who do you go for? What brush do you use? What's this for? What's that for? I've tried to narrow down the brushes to just a select few that you would need to create a flawless base and to create any sort of eye look. The brushes that I'm going to talk about today are the ones that I actually gravitate most towards, so I think they're a great starter to have in any beginner's makeup kit. So guys, I have tons of brushes, like I have them everywhere. I'm very lazy when it comes to washing my brushes as well, so I like to have a pile of clean ones that I can dip into all the time and then do a deep clean about once a month. So a product that I use in between cleaning brushes would be this. This is my MAC brush cleanser and I've nothing left. I've actually just finished it today, and it is something I would recommend to those of you who might have a smaller brush collection and don't want to do a deep clean every single day. Just giving them a quick clean, especially if you're using the brushes on yourself, with something like the MAC brush cleanser is great. Surgical spirits is also another thing that I would use regularly as well. I just like water it down slightly and I would clean my brushes as I'm going, especially if I'm doing a makeover on someone in work. When you're deep cleaning your brushes, make sure to use something really gentle on your brushes. So I recommend like baby shampoo, or you could use even general shampoo that you would use in your own hair. Obviously don't go out and buy a really expensive brand of shampoo to clean your brushes. So that is something I really recommend, to continuously clean your brushes either every time you've used them, like with the surgical spirits or the MAC cleanser, or deep clean them maybe once a month or maybe every second week, how often that you feel you need to deep clean them. I do it once a month like I said, but that's up to yourself how often you need to clean them. Naturally, if you're using your brushes on other people, clean them, deep clean them straight away. And the best way to clean your brush, I'm just showing an example here, is to get like the shampoo in your hand and then swirl your brush around in it and kind of give it a quick clean and run it under like lukewarm water. I recommend for you not to have water over this part of the barrel of the brush, because the water can get in and actually loosen up some of the glue in there, so you'll find that the barrel of your brush will end up coming away from the handle, and we don't want that. Also, the water can go down into the brush and it can also loosen up the bristles, making them loose, and they'll end up falling out. So I'm going to start off with eye brushes, and these are the eye brushes that I recommend to the majority of people when you're there, whether you're starting out or if you're doing makeup long term. These are the ones that you will gravitate mostly towards. So I'm going to try and show you as many affordable brands as I can. So these are Blank Canvas cosmetic brushes. You can buy them on the Blank Canvas cosmetic website and I will link it down below. And the first brush I recommend to everybody is an E24. The equivalent brush from MAC is the 239. This is your basic flat shader brush, and what I use it for is for packing on eyeshadow onto my lid. So it is just one of those brushes you need to have in your collection if you're using eyeshadow. You get great intensity with using a brush like this, much better than using something like your finger where you end up moving the product around. So the next brush I think that everybody needs to own is the E26 brush, or the 217 brush from MAC. This is amazing at blending out the crease. That's what I use it mostly for. I also use it for if I want to feather shadow onto my eyelid. What I mean by that is I don't want to pack it on like with that previous brush I talked to you about packing on shadows. I don't want to do that with this brush. This brush is going to literally be for shading and blending. So it applies a really light coat of the shadow. Like I actually applied my shadow with this brush this morning. So it applies a really light coat of shadow on the outer corner or wherever you want to use it, just a very light sweep. That's what I use this brush for, but the majority of the time it's for actually blending out my crease. The next brush I recommend for all of you to have is the E23 brush. This is a pencil brush. MAC do one and it's number 219, and what I use this for is for applying shadow on my lower lashes. It just smokes out that area and it doesn't pack on too much. I also apply shadows into my crease using this brush, and just if I want to do any detailed work, it's very easy to control where you want to apply shadow using this brush. The next brush I'm going to talk about is the E42 brush. The MAC equivalent of this brush is the 224. Because it is tapered up at the top, it comes to like a nice little point, as you can see. I use that to blend shadow out in the crease and just kind of smoke out that area because it's really defined. It doesn't smudge any shadows up too far, and that's what I use that one for mostly. Also, I use this brush to apply shadows to my inner teardrop because it's really defined and easy to get in there, but it also kind of feathers the shadow on so you're not packing on eyeshadow to that area. The final brush that I'm going to talk about for eyes is completely optional. This is the E38 brush, and it's just a little angled brush. I don't know if you can see it there, but what I use this for is to fill in my eyebrows because it is really small and really precise. Obviously, if you don't use a brow powder with filling in your eyebrows, you don't need that. That's why I'm saying this is a completely optional brush. Now I'm going to move on to face brushes. Face brushes are really important as well. Similar to using eye brushes to get more of a precise kind of eyeshadow look, you use face brushes to get more of a flawless base. So one foundation brush that I really recommend is this one here. This is from a brand called Jessup. It's a flat top brush, and I've used tons and tons and tons and tons of different foundation brushes, but nothing compares to this flat top kabuki brush. So this is a really dense brush. As you can see there, that's the bristles on it. They're so densely packed. So what this does is it actually buffs out your foundation and it makes it look flawless. This doesn't create any streaks or anything like that, so it's really easy to work with as well. Covers a large area of your face, so it's a really quick and easy brush to use. The Expert Face Brush is another one of those brushes that I absolutely love for applying your foundation too. It just buffs it out as well and gives it an airbrushed finish, just if you want something a little bit more inexpensive. So I'm not going to recommend a concealer brush. You can blend your under eye concealer out with your fingers, so why recommend a brush if you can use that for a beginner? I use my ring finger always. It applies the least amount of pressure, and that's the finger that you should be blending out anything underneath the eye area because it is quite delicate. I'm going to move on to a powder brush. Now there's so many powder brushes on the market, but my favourite one is the e.l.f. powder brush, and it is a flat top brush like this. Again, you can use this for foundation if you so wish, but I just really like it for powdered products, especially my setting powder. So I use it just to pat on my setting powder like that all over my face or wherever I need to apply my setting powder. And it's just one of the best brushes because again, you can work quickly with it and it doesn't apply too much product and it picks up just enough, and because it's so, as you can see, there's so much surface area on it, it's getting a lot of your face all in one go. So again, for blusher, I never really had a preference of brush, but I'm going to show you the one that I use now. It's absolutely manky dirty, apologies for that, but this is the e.l.f. small stippling brush, and I like this to apply my blusher because it gives me a very light application, and also it's really easy to build with this brush. But naturally when you're applying blush, you don't want it to be too intense and clown-like, so we want to go with something like this that kind of lightly feathers it on. But again, blush brushes are all down to personal preference. So another brush that I really recommend for your face is this one here. This is the MAC 109 brush. I am in love with this brush. This is the most perfect brush ever. As you can see, it's really tiny. So what it does is it gets into all the nooks and crannies of your face. I use this for contouring and bronzing, and I just find that it is amazing. And it applies bronzer to precise places on my face, so like it's great at applying just over my forehead to the hollows of my cheeks, and it's great to go along the jawline because it just fits perfectly to the contours of my face. And if you're just beginning and you're not really sure of what sort of contour brush to go with, I would recommend the MAC 109 brush or something that looks quite similar to it, so it's just kind of like a little bobblehead on it, and it is one of the most precise brushes for doing that contour job. In every single brush collection, I always recommend a brush like this, so a big fluffy brush. The reason being is it's not for precise application or anything like that, it's for blending out harsh lines. So what I use it for is basically to blend out all of my blush and my bronzer. Sometimes I will use it on my forehead just to buff out the bronzer that I applied earlier, just to kind of remove any harsh lines. The one that I have here is the MAC 150, I think. This is a very expensive brush, so I don't recommend this one, but go with the Real Techniques one. This is the blush brush, but I find that it is too big to be a blusher brush. Like seriously, who has cheeks that big? A staple in everybody's collection. You can also use it to apply powder. I just don't recommend it for powder because I feel like it picks up loads of product and it ends up goes flying through the air, you know, that kind of way. So I don't always recommend that for applying powder products. So I use it again just to blend blend out any harsh lines on my face, mostly with my bronzer or my contour. That's what I use a brush like this for. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, you don't need so many brushes in your collection. You could do just fine with about 8 different brushes. I showed you about 9 or 10 different brushes. But go and check out Blank Canvas as well. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I just think that they're a great affordable brand. Another affordable brand if you live in the US is Sigma. I don't have any of their brushes because I find that Blank Canvas is very comparable to them, and they're an Irish owned company, so I'm naturally going to go with my Irish guys and gals. Picking out brushes is so daunting, and I always found that it was really difficult when I was growing up to know what brushes to use. I ended up using my finger for a lot of application. That's perfectly fine, but just if you're getting more into your makeup and you want more precise kind of applications of different things, then they're the type of brushes that I would recommend to go for. So I hope I was of some help, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you in my next one then. Bye!